Hi, I'm Mike with Morgan Inspection Services. I want to show you today how to change out a relief valve on a water heater. My relief valve is leaking. They will do that occasionally after a few years. So changing the valve is a fairly simple thing. Takes a few minutes, and all you have to do is purchase a new one. They're $15, $20. When you are buying your new valve, you've got to look at the tag on your existing water heater. It'll show you the specs. This is 105 BTUs per hour. So when you go to the store, you've got to make sure you get the same type, same specifications, and if you do that, then you're set. Basically, what we're going to do, we've got to pull the old valve out, which means we've got to cut this discharge line, unscrew the valve to put the new valve in. But before we can do that, we've got to drain the water heater. The water level is basically up to the top. We've got to drain it to below here so we can unscrew this to replace the new one. So let me show you what we've got to do to drain the water heater. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is turn the power off to your water heater. If it's electric, you'll typically go to your breaker box and turn the breaker off. And if it's gas, you'll just turn it off at the gas valve at the bottom part of the water heater. Then what you need to do is turn the water off to your water heater. That's normally on the line right above the water heater. So the next thing you have to do is hook up the water hose to this drain valve on the bottom of the water heater. Then a lot of these will have a handle similar to an outside water faucet. This one, you use a screwdriver to open. You just basically turn it until it stops turning, about 3 turns. Okay, and then up here, if you'll open the relief valve, that will allow air to be drawn in, which will prevent it from pulling a vacuum and allow it to drain more easily. So we'll give this a few minutes to drain, at least to below this line, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so the water heater has drained low enough where we can pull this relief valve out. So let me show you what I'm going to have to do. Since this discharge line is going to prevent me from being able to unscrew this, I'm going to have to cut this and put a coupling on it to reconnect it. Now, almost every relief valve on water heaters is a 3/4 inch pipe. It can be CPVC, it can be PEX, it can be copper. It has to be something that's rated to be used with hot water. So let me show you some of the tools that I need. This is a PVC pipe cutter, a wire brush to clean up the threads before I put the new relief valve in, Teflon tape, and then here's my CPVC coupling and some glue, and my new valve that I showed you earlier. All right, so I'm gonna cut this valve, or cut this pipe. All right, next I'm gonna take the discharge line out of the relief valve. It shouldn't be in there too tight, and it's not. And then I've got to unscrew the relief valve. Hopefully it's not too tight here. All right, so you can see all this buildup from the sediment in the relief valve. And that's probably what's causing it to not seal properly. And then on the inside where the springs are, you can also see a lot of buildup. You can see the difference of the inside of the old relief valve and the new one. And then here as well. So this definitely has some buildup. I have seen a lot worse, but this one does need to be replaced. Let me show you one more thing. Look inside here where I took this relief valve out. You can see all that buildup. And there's going to be a lot of sediment down in the bottom of the tank as well. So next thing we have to do is put some Teflon tape on these threads, and you always want to wrap it in the direction that you're going to screw this thing in. That way, as you wrap it, it won't pull the tape loose, but it'll tend to tighten it. And you want about 3 or 4 turns of tape. And then I'm going to clean these threads out just to make sure that they're not going to cause a leak. Just make sure they're clean so we get a good seal. All right, and then we just need to thread this back in place. You want it tight, but you don't want it so tight that you either crack the valve, or worse yet, that you crack the tank where it's threaded in. All right. Next, I'm going to reconnect the discharge line. Now, I'm not going to bother to put Teflon tape on it. Teflon tape wouldn't hurt anything, but since this is not under pressure, I'm not going to worry about it. So, just going to put that in there. Give it a little turn to tighten it. And last thing I'm going to do is glue it up. Hold it for a few seconds. And we ought to be back in business. So last thing we've got to do is open up the water valve to fill the water heater and turn on the breaker, and we're done. Now you want to make sure you turn the water on first and make sure the water heater is full before you turn the breaker on. You don't want to take a chance of turning on a heating element if it's not covered with water, because it'll quickly be ruined. So let me get this valve opened up. And then I'll go in the house and watch for water to come out of the faucet. Okay, so now we know the water heater's full. So now we can go turn the breaker on, and we'll be done with this project. If this video has been helpful, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it. And I appreciate you watching this. Take care. Have a good day.